Did a Buffalo Bills insider just spill the beans on the Bills trade deadline plans just 10 days away from the NFL trade deadline? Well, Bills insider Joe Buscaglia did go on The Athletic and list 7 players that he thinks Bills fans should watch out for in case Buffalo goes out there and makes a trade. Now, Brandon Beane has done that in each of the past few seasons, so we could see a deal on the horizon. If you want it to happen, again, if you want the Bills to make a splash at the trade deadline, show me. Go down below, smash that thumbs up icon, like today's video, like you jump through a table in the grass lot there. All right, the Bills, as far as a trade situation go, they're not exactly the most flexible team out there. They are just below around $3 million or so away from the salary cap line, which means that they can't take on a lot of big-time cap hits that many players that could be on the trade block right now do hold with them this season. The only team that's in a worse financial situation than Buffalo right now is the Miami Dolphins. But I'll tell you right now, the Dolphins, they are sellers, and the Bills, I think they kind of need to be buyers at this point. We see deficiencies at the wide receiver spot. We see deficiencies at the cornerback spot. We see deficiencies in the secondary as a whole, and maybe on the defensive line where we're seeing a bunch of injuries pop up as well. So we're going to go over a couple of players here that Buscaglia had on his list, starting, of course, with Chris Olave. The name has been long linked to the Buffalo Bills here in the trade deadline cycle, and he would fit phenomenally on this Bills team, man. He would be the true Z receiver. He'd be able to create separation. He's an elite route runner, can really just do all things on at all levels of the football field. Does have a little bit of a concussion history here, but I think he would be a fantastic fit in Buffalo here. A team that desperately needs receivers to be able to separate. And it fits under Buffalo's cap umbrella. He only has a prorated cap hit of around $794,000 a season. It's the last year of his rookie deal, heading into the 5th-year option next season, so he's easily acquirable by the Bills. And he's been a name who's been long, like in this trade, deadline cycle. He's been the number one name in all these rumors. However, there's been some insiders that have thrown some water on those rumors for Olave here. How likely really is a deal for the Bills and the Saints to make here? I don't really know, because Diana Rossini did report over the weekend that the Saints and Chris Olave are trying to work towards a contract extension here. So as good of a fit as Chris Olave would be here if he was traded to Buffalo, I'm not so sure that the Saints want to send him away in any sort of deal at this point. The Saints historically are not a fire sale team when things are going badly, so we'll see if they end up making any decision on Olave getting traded here, as he only has one more year on his deal after this season. Now, if they decide to keep him around and extend Chris Olave, well, another Saints receiver could be on the block, and Buscaglia noted him, Rashid Shaheed. Now, this is a player who, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I've been saying it the entire time we've been making these rumor videos. If the Bills are going to go out there and make a trade for a receiver, I would have to make my bet and say that it's going to be Rashid the Speed Shaheed here. A true field stretcher down the field, man. Decent enough size, too. We can go up and get it. A good kick and punt returner as well, which Buffalo could really use with some consistency here. 27 years old on the last year of his contract. The Bills could throw some sort of high priority day 3 pick at the Saints here for Shaheed. And if they wanted to, they could let him go in free agency and potentially receive a compensatory pick, which we know Brandon Beane hits on more often than not. So Shaheed is absolutely a name here for Buffalo that I think has a little bit more smoke than people actually realize. I'd be all over bringing him to the Bills. Another receiver that is out there on the block and has been for a long time and is on Buscaglia's list, Jakobi Meyers of the Las Vegas Raiders, who has been asking to not be a Las Vegas Raider for quite some time now, has reiterated that he continues to want to be traded here as the deadline approaches, but he says his job is to be a football player, go out and play good football. He has no control over whether or not the Raiders decide to trade him, but I do think this is a player who you could acquire potentially for a 4th-round pick. I don't think I would send away a 3rd in exchange for Jakobi Meyers. Doesn't necessarily have or possess that top-end speed either. So vertically, he's limited, but another elite separator and route runner that can do a lot of good things. A solid run blocker as well. We're going to get some other names in just a moment, but first, I want to make sure that you guys are subscribed. Now, by the way, Jakobi Meyers, $5.7 million cap hit here. So Buffalo would have to move around some money to fit him under the umbrella. Shaheed, he fit into the Bills' salary cap space pretty solid at this point. So with that being said, we're going to get some more names in just a moment. Subscribe for access, though. We're going over Joe Buscaglia's trade targets here that are via The Athletic, which you have to pay for. It's behind a paywall. It's $72 a year. The Bills breakdown, you're going to get all that access. It's 100% free. So go down below, hit that subscribe button, and turn those notifications on as well if you love the Buffalo Bills, so you never miss a moment around when they get news, because that's when we make videos, and we'll also be live for all the Bills games this season as well. Subscribe if you love the Buffalo Bills. All right, coming up next, we got a new wide receiver. Yes, the wide receivers are not done just yet, and some defensive reinforcements here on Buscaglia's list. First, though, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor in the program, as this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. It can get you up to 2,000 times your money in one daily fantasy sports lineup watching your Buffalo Bills this season, because it's daily fantasy made easy. There's tons of daily fantasy sports apps out there, but Prize Picks is the best. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. But the features are phenomenal. They offer Stacks, the only daily fantasy sports app to do so. If you wanted to take multiple stat projections from the same player and put it in the same lineup on Prize Picks, yeah, you can do so. It's also becoming a social event as well. You can follow your favorite creators. You can follow celebrities. You can follow your friends as well. Copy their picks over from the feed tab on Prize Picks. My lineup for Week 8 against the Carolina Panthers, I got Dalton Kincaid, more than receiving yards. James Cook, more than receiving yards. Joe Brady needs to get him involved through the air. And I got James Cook to get back in the paint as well. With Tedero McMillan, the stud wide receiver for Carolina there, more than 65.5 receiving yards. You can tell my picks or fade them. Just do it at Prize Picks. Download the app today and use the code CLNS for $50 in lineups. Yes, new users get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Alrighty, your new wide receiver target, potentially Rashod Bateman of the rival Baltimore Ravens, who are really in some dire straits as it stands right now. Bateman just 25 years old, man, and I was super high on him coming out of the pre-draft process. Elite at, as far as his pre-draft profile went, elite at the catch point, like really strong hands at the catch point. Does he have the best separation stats in the world? No, but along the sideline as a boundary receiver, I think he's more serviceable than the guys that Buffalo has at this point right now, man. I'm not so keen on Keon Coleman. I wasn't in the pre-draft process, and I'm not now with the lack of production that he's had, even though he's had some volumes with some targets as well. I think Bateman's a better talent than him, and he also would fit under the Bills' salary cap umbrella here, just a $926,000 cap hit. So the Bills will be able to trade for him, no problem at all. If you guys think we should trade for Rashod Bateman out of the other 3 receivers that we've talked about at length throughout this process, let me know down in the comment section if he's a name that the Bills should target. At defensive tackle here, per Buscaglia, Harrison Phillips, an old friend. Why don't we bring him back to the fold here? He has a $1.96 million cap hit here, so easily absorbable, 29 years old. And since he's left Buffalo, he's been really making a bunch of plays here with the Minnesota Vikings and not so much with the New York Jets. Probably needs a big-time change of scenery there, as the Jets are just an overall dumpster fire. But are the Bills necessarily going to go after a defensive tackle here if they make a trade? I just don't think that would be the wisest use of salary cap and roster maneuvering here, as you have Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt coming back to hopefully stop the run and stuff. And that's why I would probably not maybe go in the direction of Maliek Collins here. I don't think he's a bad player. He's super versatile, and that would really help Buffalo. He could play the 1-tech and the 3 technique for the Bills. 6'2", 300-pounder. Like, he can absolutely fill the nose up for the Bills if they need to. And look, the Browns could be in store for a fire sale as well. So this could be a cheap name that the Bills could go to here if they aren't able to go after wide receiver. I think that's something that they would have to really explore all the way first before going out there and trading for a defensive tackle. But there are injuries along the D-line. It wouldn't make the least sense in the world if they were to go out and trade for one of those 2 defensive tackles. I wouldn't mind them. The talent level is there. Now, the last name that we have up per Joe Buscaglia here is Rasul Douglas. I know, another old friend. This would be very Brandon Beane. I mean, it makes sense that Joe's putting these in his list. The Harrison Phillips, the Rasul Douglas. I mean, what else is he going to put? Cole Beasley on his list for the Bills trade deadline acquisitions? I mean, they already got Gabe Davis and Jordan Poyer back. Why not bring back Rasul too? I'm only half joking there, though, because Rasul Douglas has made plays so far this season. 4 PBUs. I think that would lead the Buffalo Bills right now. So, like, he's honestly hasn't been that terrible, and he's kind of turning back the clock a little bit, showing he still has some gas left in the tank, and is absolutely a cheap option for the Bills here. A $664,000 cap hit to absorb. So very, very easy to make a trade out there for Rasul Douglas. You guys let me know if he's a player that you would be wanting to make a move on here as the trade deadline gets closer and closer. And if we didn't say a name that you liked, then let us know in the comments section. Name a player that you want the Bills to trade for here as the trade deadline gets closer and closer. Get down in the comments for me. Drop a name. Is it a guy that we just talked about on Joe's list? Is it not? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That will do it for today's show. We're going to be live on Sunday for Bills versus Panthers. So join us here for our pregame tailgate and live play-by-play coverage as well for all of Week 8. That will do it for the end of today's show. Give me a follow over on Twitter as well, at Tyler J. Smith. 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. We'll see you guys in the next one. I think the next one is the watch party. So, as always, let's go, Buffalo.